Hey guys, I am coming to you here from New Hampshire. So happy to be here. The trip went great, and the horses have all arrived and are back to work. Everything is going really well, and the weather has been magnificent. So excited to be back in the Northeast and very relieved that everybody made the trip in such good shape. So, we have something that we're doing tonight, and I am pre-recording this. I'm sorry not to see you guys live today, but I still wanted to get this out there. I think this is a really fun program, and I'm excited to bring it to you, and then we can talk about it all live on next Wednesday. Here we go. Okay. So, balance and a purposeful life, riding and training, taking care of horses, taking care of. That's a big thing. And as I usually do, we're going to start with some definitions, okay? So, balance, a state of equilibrium, equal distribution of weight, etc., and a state of equilibrium, if we want to talk about it as a verb. So, what does that mean? I think when we're talking about balance here, in this case, it's the balance of our lifestyle, what we're expecting out of our horses, how we're caring for them, and how does that all work together, that something doesn't get lost. Our own personal health and well-being doesn't get lost in the taking care of and managing of the horses, that we keep a good perspective if we're showing and things like that, that we really carry that through in a good balance, that we're not overtaxing the horses or stressing ourselves about the results more than having a quality of life and creating that partnership and then taking that into the show ring. Purpose, the reason for which something exists, the aim or intention for oneself and their actions. So when we embark on this journey of training horses, or if we're just caretakers of the horses, what is our purpose? And how does that affect how we operate every day? And we need to stay close to that. What is our ultimate goal? How do we live that purposeful life, achieving the things that we really want to? Can you wait a minute on the tractor? That would be great. Thank you. Because I'm just trying to do the recording.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's okay. So that ultimate goal, that reason why we do this, needs to stay close in our heart and then close in our daily actions. And then perspective, the state of one's ideas, the facts known to one, or the state of existing in a space before the eye. So your perspective is going to change as you learn more and as you move about on this journey. And that's a good thing. You want to gain more and more perspective. You want to gain better perspective. And it should not be that you're standing in the same place on that hillside 1 week from now, 1 month from now, or a year from now. We want to be looking at things from a better perspective, from a different perspective. So we're going to encourage that change. So I had a couple of ideas of things that affect how we move through and how we become successful. And I think it's really interesting. The talent, skills, money, energy, habits, and fun. So it's 6 assets that we're going to contribute and mix into our daily life that's going to create the success or lack of success. Our perspective on these things is going to be a big contribution. So, how we think about talent, how we think about the skills that we're building, how we think about money, energy, habits, and fun. What our beliefs are about these things, that is going to contribute to your success. So I'm hoping to put a little bit different spin on it, and then you can take off and run with that. Perspective dictates how we view what is success and what is falling short of success or even failure. Our perspective must change over time in order to achieve our potential. Some things that I think we say to ourselves, and I know also in our industry, some beliefs that are not healthy, we could consider detrimental. Um, One thing that people often say is you're only as good as your last test. And I think when we think about it that way, it causes us to perhaps take less chances, right? To only do things when we really feel like everything is 150%. And we want to be careful about that. Perfectionism can be helpful when we want to be really good at something, but it also can be a detriment. So we want to be careful, where does that play in the chances that we take? Of course, we want to prepare ourselves, but we also want to be taking chances. So we're definitely must not judge ourselves only on our last test. That doesn't mean sometimes you're up, sometimes you're down, sometimes you have a really, really good ride, but sometimes we are in the building phase. And that doesn't mean that it's a bad ride just because it wasn't as successful. We have to be in that building stage. We think about the seasons, there's times to plant, and then there's times to reap the rewards of our harvest. So there's going to be a rhythm to how things go. And if we judge ourselves only on our last test, then that's going to impede our progress. Second place is the first loser. So again, for the same reasons as the first one, that's not a good way to look at things. There's only going to be one winner, and I think you're already a winner for showing up. So really put maximum effort in. If you are not winning, you're going to go back, you're going to do your homework, and you're going to work at that again. But you're not losing because you're not winning. You're winning because you're in the game. We must end on a good note. I think this is something that in training I was taught from a young age, and I have definitely, you don't want to create a big mess and then have to clean it up. And I think that kind of thinking is unhealthy. There's always tomorrow. And when we're thinking about training as a process, day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year, that one day in that life of opening up something that needs to be discussed with your horse, needs to be talked about, and then feeling like you don't get exactly where you wanted to get, and you might have to step back, or you might have to do an exercise that's more fun or easier to gain that rapport again. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. So I personally don't like the motto that we always have to end on a good note. There's no winning and losing. The horse is not winning if you didn't make it do what you want. There's only learning. and training and experience. So I don't like that motto anymore in my training. And then winning is everything. Um, I think sometimes you can create a test that is a winning test, but because of the way you created those movements, because of the way you worked with your horse, that might not benefit you for your test tomorrow or next week or next month. So I think the training, the riding and the rapport, that relationship you're building with your horse is everything. And I want to try to encourage that winning is not everything. Winning is important, and that's why what we're trying to do. We're trying to be good riders, we're trying to be good trainers, and in doing that, competing, and ultimately we want to win. But winning isn't we're not going to win at all costs. I will be happy when I achieve such and such a goal. This is a process. It's a journey, our training. And we want to make a lifestyle with horses where we're happy every day. And there's going to be challenges, but you don't want to delay your gratification until you have achieved a certain goal. You know many athletes that have gone through deep depressions after they've achieved a goal because they were living only to that moment, and then they didn't have that idea or that habit of putting a new goal in its place, and they really weren't all about the journey. They were about the goal. So I think we need to work on a daily basis at creating that happiness and that purposeful living every day, and not just delaying your gratification until the goal is achieved, or even delaying your own personal worth until that goal is achieved. You want to feel good about what you're doing and who you are on a daily basis. And then sometimes people will let themselves be limited by their heritage. My parents weren't good at this, or my genes are not good. I'm not tall enough. I'm not smart enough. I mean, it doesn't even have to be about the genes. I'm too old. I'm too young. I don't live in the right area. You know, we limit ourselves with some of these type of perspectives. So we want to be careful about that. If there are any things that you hear yourself saying on a daily basis that are negatively impacting the effort that you're putting into your goal, I want you to write those down on a piece of paper and then tear them up or burn them or whatever it takes, that you start to be more aware of your self-talk, and we replace it with something more beneficial, something more encouraging. So these perspectives can dictate how much or how little effort we put into a goal or our lifestyle. And a little bit of thought about that is going to be helpful so that we don't get into bad habits on a daily basis, defeating ourselves before we even get started. So the first thing that we're going to put into the mix is talent. And this is a great place to start. Is you're born with a little bit of talent for this, for riding, for taking care of horses, for reading horses and their language. Many people are born with that. It's a great place to start with a little bit extra talent, but is that sustainable? Can we ride only on talent? Skill must be developed over time. What skills we need will come with better understanding and improved perspective of what is necessary in order to achieve a goal. So I think skill is something that's more controllable than talent. And because it's controllable, we can put a little effort into building our skills on a daily basis, which is going to build up over time, weekly, monthly, and yearly. You're going to be able to grow your skills, and that's going to be a big contribution to your success. Perfectionism is all about the unwillingness to make mistakes. And so we have to be really careful about how we manage this. Absolutely, we want to try to be the best that we can be, but we don't want to hold ourselves back by trying to make things so perfect before we go out and try. And on a daily basis, what happens with perfectionism is it closes you up instead of opening you up. So when you're thinking about what people think of you, that you can't make mistakes, and worried more about that's closing you up. The amount of energy, excitement, relaxation, joy that you're going to put into something when you're so worried about making it perfect is going to be much less than when you let yourself make a little bit of mistakes, gain that experience, learn from that, move on, go up, do more. Perfectionism, if it's too much, is going to close you up, not open you up. And in order to be successful, we need to be open, aware, and open. Energy. Energy is absolutely imperative to your success. So we've got to put a lot of that in the pot. Okay. We're going to put a little bit of perfectionism. We're going to put a lot of skill building. We're going to put a little bit of talent if we have it, and there might not be too much, but that's okay. But we're going to need to put a lot of energy in that pot, and it's going to have to be nurtured. So how do we nurture energy? We're going to nurture our energy with good hydration, with food, with exercise, surrounding ourselves with positive people, and then a good way of designing goals and noticing your achievements so that your energy is constantly growing and constantly building. You're not going to be overcritical if something doesn't go perfect, and you're going to live in your successes on a daily basis. If it's a training success, a good ride, good building good rapport with your horse, as well as winning at the horse shows. So how do we measure success is also part of how much energy we can put in to every day. Habits, I think, are very, very important. These are going to dictate your overall destination. So there's something that the high performers talk about a lot, and it's very interesting, where if a plane took off and it just was ever so slightly 2 degrees or 3 degrees off on its the radar where that autopilot was going, over a period of miles, that's going to turn first into a small distance of being off track, but over time, it's going to become a very big distance of missing your mark. So if you took off from California and you made your heading just a couple degrees off, you were going to New York, but you just made that heading a couple degrees off, you're going to land in Washington, D.C. And that's 200 miles away from what you wanted for your destination. So if you think about your habits in the same way, and every day you just add a little bit of positivity to your routine, over time, that's going to build up exponentially. But if you build in a little bit of a negative habit, what could be a negative habit? Negative self-talk or limiting self-talk, uh, drinking soda instead of water, eating the donut instead of the fruit, these little things, not working out as opposed to working out. Or here we talk about, even just something so small as adding one sit up every day. 1% change in your habit can change you exponentially over time. And what would 1% be? It would just be such a small thing to change on a daily basis. So think about that when you're tackling trying to improve your success and trying to improve your productivity, your skills. What could I do just that 1% different that's going to change me for the better? 1% just doesn't seem like that much on a daily basis. It's not a big change. You don't have to make a radical change. You talk to a lot of people and they're all about radical change. But what if you just changed it a tiny bit, but then you made it repeatable? Then I think you're going to have a bigger result. And then fun. So if you see somebody that's working every day and they're really having fun, how much more success are they ultimately going to have than somebody who's begrudgingly doing things? I think that this comes in a really big way. We've got to mix a lot of energy, a lot of good habits, and then fun into the mix. Does fun need to be goofing off? Does fun need to be being lazy, not achieving? No, that's not what fun means. Fun means enjoying your daily practice, relaxing enough in the daily practice to be letting it flow, right? We want to have that flow in our daily activities, in our riding. We don't want to be after ourselves every time we make a mistake. We don't want to be after ourselves every time our horse makes a mistake. But we want to be absolutely letting things flow, growing from our experiences, and enjoying that daily process. So I think when we have our pot and we're putting all these things in the pot, if we're not allowing ourselves to have fun, then the success level is going to be less. Now, and don't equate enjoying yourself and having fun to being lazy or not achieving. This is a misperception. And you remember in the beginning, we were talking about perspective. Where we look at things, how we look at things is going to impact how we go through day after day, week after week, month after month. So something about my perspective that had to change is that having fun doesn't mean not succeeding. And I used to look at people that were having enjoyment and think that they weren't getting better, thinking they were not working at what they wanted to do. And when I learned that I could actually work really hard and get better and have fun, that changed a lot of things for me. And I would love to invite you to think about, change perspective about that too, if you feel that you're only going to get good at something if you're working really hard at it, because it doesn't have to be that way. So I've had a lot of people asking me, how do I know if I'm good enough to make this a lifestyle, to make an effort at this, to choose it for a career, for instance? And I personally think that talent plays a very small role in this. And so it's impossible not to be good enough. We also have to talk about what does it what are we doing if you see people that are taking care of horses and they don't necessarily want to be riders. Somebody that wants to be a trainer might look down on that caretaker and wonder, why are they so happy doing that? But that is the purpose for that person. That's what they really love doing. So they get up every morning and they're excited about nurturing those horses to be their best potential. So we want those people in our lives, because as trainers, we can't operate at full potential if we don't have this support group. Now, if you're starting out and you really love nurturing horses and you don't want to ride, but you don't want to live on a really small budget, then you are going to hone your skills the best you can, bring a lot of energy and super good habits and awareness to what you're doing so that you're taking better care of the horses than anybody else is. And then you're going to find yourself in a super training barn or a really big show barn, or even what about a vet clinic or something like this, where your skills are really going to be needed and respected. And that will get you a little bit more money. Okay. So that if you're a trainer, the same. What do we want to do? We really want to be the best on a daily basis. How are we going to do that? Is by enjoying what we do, bring a lot of energy, and build our skills and our good habits. And so when we get down in our energy, we need to figure out how to bring that up. When we find that we have an area that's lacking skill, we've got to go out and we've got to find somebody that can teach that to us. And we've got to stay open and not trying to be all the time perfectionists or even know-it-alls, but instead really value learning. And when we find a little bit of a hole in a horse that we are having trouble with or something like that, we go out and we find support and we learn how to deal with that subject better. And that's going to be happening over time. And the things that are going to be brought to us are not always going to be super easy. But if we have that interest and we bring that energy, then we are going to become better trainers every year. And that's what we want to do. We don't want to get stuck in one place. We want to be growing all the time. What we think we are capable of is a big contribution to our success. So if we believe that we're capable of big things, but sometimes we make mistakes or sometimes we need to build skill, we're going to get a lot farther than if we're going on what other people think we're capable of. So we want to be really careful about that. Sometimes other people's opinions will get us down. And it's not even on purpose. You know, maybe they're trying to do it for our own good. But be careful. You know inside what you're capable of. So 100% of the time, you need to operate from that good place. And if somebody's making compliments to you, that's awesome. But if they're looking at you like you're crazy and who do you think you are to be able to do that, you absolutely have to go inside and remember what you are capable of, because we're all capable of amazing things. And then you want to build your identity. So in the beginning, you may think that you are a little bit of an imposter because you have this idea and this goal and this skills that you want to develop, and you're not there yet. But you're going to by building these habits, by mixing up in this pot all of these important things, you're going to start to build trust in yourself. And then that's going to take that person that you know on the inside, you're going to be able to take that out into the world. So you're who you are, what you value, what your identity is. You have to nurture that every day, and then build the trust in yourself that you are that person. So I made a little diagram, and you're going to laugh at me again because I'm not very good at this. But what I really wanted to bring home here today for you is that even if you start with less talent than someone else, and you can see here in my little graph, right? If you're starting with less talent, but you work at building skill, you can get every bit as high on your ability to execute, and even higher than that person who starts with talent and doesn't put any effort in. And that happens often. You'll see people that are really given a gift because it comes easy to them. They don't build up that energy to make an effort. And there's going to be a limit to how high a level that rider can achieve good results, because at some point you need to learn skills. Just being able to sit on a horse and have feeling is not enough to get you where you want to go. We need to build skills. What skills? We have to have a knowledge of the application of the aids, a feeling of what happens underneath you when your horse is moving, when it's changing, when it makes a flying change. What does that feel like when it's correct, when it's not correct, when it's in self carriage? How does that feel? And so your ability to come to the level of ability to execute and then even exceed somebody else's level is going to depend on the amount of time you put in building skill. So this is just one idea, but it's also if you're going to bring energy and somebody else doesn't bring any energy, you're going to have a better ability to execute. If you bring fun when the people around you are begrudgingly working, you're going to have more flow, you're going to have more rapport with your horse, and you're going to have a higher ability to execute. If you're bringing that 1% change in habits in a positive way, not a negative way, 1% daily, weekly, monthly, yearly, that 1% is going to take you above the status quo. So think about your pot, what you want to consciously put inside of your pot. And then what is my purpose? And what are my goals? And you're going to move forward in a really positive way toward those goals. I have no doubt. So I'm really excited to talk to you guys about these ideas next week. And I'm sorry I couldn't be here for you live. Can't see my screen. And if you have any questions about what we just went over, you know you can email me at nancylerdressagehorses@gmail.com. You can visit my website for more trainings like this at carouselcoaching.com. And I also want to add, because I think this is really important, all of these ideas are not coming just from me. They come a lot from my experience, but they're things that I've put together through all the awesome mentors that I have had through the years, instructors, the books that I've read, some of these programs I've gone to, clinics I've gone to. So I want to bring this out to you and make your journey more fun and more successful. And I want you to know that that is coming through amazing people and resources that are available to all of us. And so it's not, it's these are not all original ideas. There are many ideas that come from the people that I have taught me and I've been able to have the great opportunity to learn from. So keep your eyes open, be aware of the gifts that are all around us every day and the learning opportunities that are available, and check back with me on the email if you have any questions. And remember my motto: be youthful in your approach, anything is possible, and connection is the key. Love to ride.